Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, been feeling the need to do some reclarification about, what our discoveries have been as far as the nature of reality. We've had in recent days, just the last few days, a lot of people reaching out and saying, I'm not sure what I believe anymore. People from different backgrounds, too. And we've even had people of a Hindu background reach out and say, that they're questioning things. And again, we want to share what we've discovered with you guys. And what we've discovered about the nature of reality and of this universe is really, it's not a thing to be feared at all. What we are in is right now a control system, unfortunately, or fortunately, because it depends on how you look at it. The nature of this experience is a temporary one. This experience is a temporary experience. This is not our true state of being. We are eternal beings, and you do not have to fear hellfire and damnation or any of those things, because those are all constructs given to you by the creators of the dark matrix that we are in order to control you. That's what enables them to control the matrix is really, first and foremost, the belief structure that they give us. But in the golden ages, in the times when we are exposed to beings of a much higher vibration, we get knowledge of the true nature of things. And that true nature is very, very liberating.
Mm-hmm. I really went through this in a time of my life where my belief system got turned upside down because a series of events in my life told me, okay, this can't be the way things are. I've done everything XYZ the way I was supposed to. Why is everything the way it is? So I had to reevaluate, and I went through that period of time, thinking, well, what is my belief? And for me, when I was standing on that ground, it just felt very uneasy. I wanted my feet to be solid. I wanted to have understanding. I wanted something to come and show itself to me where I would be safe, if that makes any sense. I just wanted to be safe. And I thought, well, if I put myself inside of this construct that's been created, I'm going to be safe. So I suppose that's where it came from. The controlling aspect of our belief system is so very important for the controllers. That part is everything to them. They need to give us something so that we stay within the lines and have it vary just enough to get us to shift this way or shift that way. But my reality has been, it's okay to look at different aspects of things and take what fits me, because all of our DNA, the way it's put together in this 3D realm, is very different. And our DNA reads energies a certain way. So we are not constructed to have a same belief system. And for belief systems to go head to head is absolutely absurd, in my opinion, because we are supposed to be so individual, so different, and express the expression of Source. Source did not intend for everything to be the same, or Source would just simply be now. We wouldn't be here. We are all a beautiful expression of Source, here to have our own journey and our own understanding and have our own emotions and grow spiritually, our soul expanding at whatever rate, in whatever way we want to. And it does not have to fall into a fear-based thing where, okay, if you do this, this is hell and damnation forever. It does not need to be that way in any way, shape, or form. So, I think it's about helping people free themselves, get out of those wheels of confinement and realize, okay, who are you? And that's without being told what you are out of a book. That's without being given understanding. It's like you have to check off this box, this box, this box, and then that means you're this. No, it doesn't have to be this way. We can be as unique as we want to be, and there doesn't need to be any hell and damnation for that.
No, and as Buddha had said, the only hell exists in the minds of the believers in it. So if you truly are convinced that, that is the type of experience that you will have because you have this guilt-laden consciousness, then you might very well start to experience something like that when you leave this reality. It's a possibility because, again, we are definitely creating our own experience as we go, and we are all co-creating this reality. When we get to the point where we can't stand this reality enough, we do have choices, and we can shift our perspective. Absolutely. I do believe individuals can ascend almost at any time they come to a sense of a greater realization of things. I have personally experienced timeline shifts in my life twice, where I went to bed to one reality, woke up to another, and thought, was that a dream? And just recently I had another, you guys probably have had many deja vus. I would think most people experience deja vus, and I recognize those as critical timeline juncture points where, okay, this is something that has come to me from me, ultimately, maybe through the guides, but ultimately from me, the higher sense of me, what we might refer to as the higher self, as something that will be a marker. And, again, humanity as a whole is at a critical juncture point in this particular timeline. So when you go over to EEARTS, I just wanted to share with you guys, because there's so many things that we get questions about that we've covered in pretty good detail, I feel. And, again, you could use this little search bar to go and find. And this one, if God, the creator, is benevolent, why do so many horrible things happen in your human experience? 2222, I just noticed the time signature on that one. And here is seeing this reality through the eyes of the creator. And absolutely, is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? And, there's a lot of different videos here. Who are the Elohim? Who is Yahweh, etc.? Returning to the old ways. The old ways are the ways of, perhaps absolutely the golden age, the silver age, the bronze age, and, we're going out of that dark age. There's a lot of things in here, and we get into, fractal reality, the return of Viracocha, the benevolent teachers. So, and this one down here, who are the devas, the ancient shining ones, the beings of light? We've done so many videos touching on so many things. And, I noticed my son, who's 24 this year, still describes himself as a Taoist. And, Taoism is kind of one of the foundations of Qigong, absolutely. And so I've been exposed to Taoist philosophy for, going all the way back to being maybe 12, something around that line. So that's like 45 years, 46 years almost. And the Tao Te Ching gives so much wonderful, it gives us all these different phrases, these stanzas, these little thoughts to contemplate on. This is a PDF. There's only 29 pages here, and it's the complete Tao Te Ching, so you can meditate on it. And, I'll just read you the first stanza, because we have gone through the entirety of this before. The Tao, the way, that can be spoken of is not the constant Tao. The name that can be named is not a constant name. Nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of all things. Thus, the constant void enables one to observe the true essence. The constant being enables one to see the outward manifestations. These two come paired from the same origin, but when the essence is manifested, it has a different name. The same origin is called the profound mystery. As profound the mystery as it can be, it is the gate to the essence of all life. And just reading that this time, it makes just the clearest, most perfect sense, more than it did last time. And I've read this many times and pondered it many, many times. And this is all part of our trip on, our trip as these particular beings, which is a temporary trip. Again, it's a temporary trip. This is not you, really. This is you having an experience. So when we go into something like the Tao Te Ching, there is such real, true wisdom here. Real, true wisdom that so many people are not exposed to in the West. How to live a Tao life. Indwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. Wow. Yeah, boy, that's the opposite of this system. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. This world is the opposite of this. The world that we find ourselves in is completely the opposite. And the reason is they don't want you attached to the true nature of things. They want you to be completely dependent on them and not on source and not on the divine feminine, the mother, the manifestation of the conscious thought of the creator. And this is the Tao Te Ching, the way and the wisdom. We did this video. It's an hour and 7 minutes long, and it's every single verse in the Tao Te Ching. So we read through the entirety of it for those that want to just listen. I'll put all the links there. Here's the playlist on consciousness and reality. Who really are we? It goes into a lot of things. We've touched on DMT and does consciousness reside outside the brain? Absolutely. The brain is just the operating system or chip, you could say, for this particular body. Again, fascinating. Decapitated flatworms retain memories. Yeah, because the memories are not localized in the flesh. It's not in the material body. No. Everything we do is uplifted to a cloud, so to speak. And again, everything that we see with AI and the dark AI system that we find ourselves in the matrix of is a horrible, cheap imitation of the real.
A really good example of how we receive information, I guess I could use the way I would remove blocks on the human body. You can just simply remove blocks wherever they might be in whatever chakra, but you also need to send consciousness into that area. So again, for example, if you've had a surgery, even though they probably put you out and you don't remember, your body does. And that surgery can cause blocks. It can cause your subconscious to react in ways that maybe you wouldn't want. So these are areas on your body that receive information. It's not just in the brain. Again, when we work on people, we receive information from them all over our body. And that's a good teller on what might be wrong with someone. So you listen with the entire body when you are bringing in information or asking about someone and what they might need to work on. Healing wise, you can feel that anywhere. It's not just information that comes to the mind. It's information that comes to the entire body. So I think that might hopefully be helpful for people who have gone through some serious traumas, whether it be surgery, whether it be, something else that may have happened that really hurts you. It's like your body, that part of the body has its own consciousness, and it wants or needs to be restored to help bring in information in a more balanced way, making you, once again, more congruent with your surroundings, whereas before, things just didn't hit you right, or it was difficult to go through life, or you might run into a bunch of bumpy things, some difficult obstacles, and that's because our energy body has been deformed in some way. So there's ways to go back and revisit the energy body and lay those energies in a way that they are meant to be, lay them into the pattern of the all, and give that part of the body enough consciousness, enough information to actually heal the energy. Because the accidents and pain don't just happen in the 3D, it warps the energy as well.
Absolutely. And then we always stress, and it seems like those people that we work with energy work and guidance on a regular basis that do the very, very best are the ones that adopt the mantras. Now, the mantras, again, not an affirmation per se, not something like in necessarily saying in English and every day and every way I'm getting stronger, better, and wiser, a more loving spirit, more devoted to humanity and the source of all creation or anything like that. That's great. And that is something that, for instance, I used when overcoming Lyme disease, basically kind of saying that as I get better, I'm going to help others get better. And that's what I'm going to devote my life to, is to help others to awaken and to have better lives and to discover that this really is not ultimately, this is not a negative existence. And that's easy to see, that a lot of people will start to view it that way with everything going on in the world with all the chaos. But that's not the permanent order of things. That's just the Kali Yuga. And that's also that we are in a distorted Kali Yuga per se, because even though Kali Yugas are a natural order of things, a natural part of the cycle of this universe, the Yugas themselves are kind of a natural turning of the wheel. The AI component, that dark AI, satanic component, is not. So that's something that's different. And ultimately, that is also something that's affected other universes and is currently, affecting this one. But these mantras, which when said in Sanskrit, they can unlock the chakras, which for most people are locked down. When your chakras are fully opened, everything changes. Your perception changes, your ability to move your consciousness out into the other layers of the energy body increases, and it's, for me, it's blissful to be out there and to send your consciousness outwards, flying around. It's fun. And this is stuff we can do. There are some traditions that will do things like literally seal people up inside of a all brick structure where no light can really come through, no sound could come through, and people will meditate there and just simply have one small little door that can open and close to give some a little bit of water and food. And the objective is to get your consciousness out of the body. Now, that's pretty extreme and that's pretty severe, but it also can be very effective. Now, we're not condoning that. These are not the times that most people and most souls incarnation can handle things of that extreme. But again, that type of thing has been done in order to push the consciousness outside the body. A simple daily practice, meditative practice, yoga, qigong, anything with pranayama, breath work, breath, mind, body work can help. And the practice of mantras will open up the chakras. We always start with Ganeshas, and this is on Ganesha here. There's two that we have done on Ganesha. It will remove all obstacles, and it's also grounding and rooting. So, being that Cindy can clearly always see energy bodies clearly, I'll ask her, okay, what are we doing now? When I shift from one mantra to another, I will ask her, and when we come to Ganesh, it's all about the root chakra. It's all about grounding. And, Mula, literally, again, that's a grounding one as well, the Mula mantra. And there's so many, but my personal practice is I start with Ganesha, I go to Lakshmi, and then I do one to Vishnu. And then after that, there's a couple of personal ones that I've developed that I do to my personal guides that are very close to me. Again, they are all ones that you can just try out, see what resonates with you. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu That simply means may all beings everywhere be free and happy. And what's better than that? I mean, what is better than that? That is so simple. Om Shanti 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 is just a blessing of peace. And there's other ones for protection. The one to Chamunda is a form of Durga, and that's a very, very powerful protective one. Believe me, the dark ones, they fear the Durga energy. I think they fear it more than anything.
And a lot of this, there is no wrong way to say it. And if I can just share with you, this takes a long time to learn. Learning the Sanskrit way is the best way, but give yourself months. If you're one who can catch on in a few times, wonderful, fabulous. But then there's some people out there like me, they don't catch on super fast, but give it time. Give yourself weeks, months, whatever it might take. Take your time, write it down on a card. Just practice over and over and over and over, and it just give yourself that time to learn them. There is no wrong way to say them. In fact, you want your own vibration to go in to these mantras. You are the one repatterning yourself with your own voice. So it's very important that it's the way you see them and the way you perceive them, because that's where the healing happens.
Absolutely. So, my personal structure starts here. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha Sharanam Ganesha. And then I go to Lakshmi, Om Shrim Mahalakshmiye Namaha. And then I go over here, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And, all three of those are right there. And that's what I do multiple times a day. For cycles of 108 repetitions. And they do open up different centers in different ways. I feel Lakshmi's energies are balancing. I do feel they work on the heart chakra. They help me to release things when I get irritated and angry at the system. It helps to change that perspective. And it's just so those energies don't drag me down. It turns into more of a sense of gratitude and love. And then with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, that's the one that I do to Vishnu. That one feels very expansive. I do feel it kind of turns on the angelic energies. It makes you... it feels like it turns on those energies of service to others.
Depending on which deity you call in and what you're going through in your life, it is going to give you a slight difference in the energies that I see. There is no one thing that's exactly the same when doing these mantras. You are reaching out to these beings and you're asking for help. So they're going to look at your energy, and they're going to look at your life, and they're going to look at all things going on around you in an energetic perspective, and they're going to give you what they feel you need at that time.
Absolutely. And there's some out there too from other traditions as well, like Sikhi tradition. And so I encourage you guys to check it out. What we have gotten from the Galactic Federation, as well as from the Devas and the rest of our guides, because again, not all of our guides are of the Hindu tradition. We have, for instance, what the world knows as Isis, Aset, who is, of obviously the Egyptian pantheon. That's how she's gotten known to us. But again, she is in reality a being that is currently, her consciousness is centered on sixth density, so she's in a form of unity consciousness. She's not from Earth originally. No, again, many of these beings are very, very expansive energies, as what you see here is a depiction of Vishnu dreaming his dream, which is really what is our universe. Vishnu is how the Creator came to us, and he shared himself as, he basically said, me as the one called Vishnu. And that's us. With other traditions, there'll be different names. And again, he is dreaming this per se. But then we could say also, we could look at a building, a skyscraper, and say, well, that was actually the dream of this particular architect. Or you could look at a particular software and say, well, that was the dream of this particular designer. A game, perhaps. Maybe that's an analogy people can understand. You go play whatever these games are that are out there nowadays. Hey, I'm an old Tetris type of guy. That shows you how far off I am from video games. But yeah, absolutely. The designer came up with the idea. And so ultimately, consciousness is the only true reality. Everything else is temporary. As has been said by some of the greatest minds, from Tesla, Einstein, to Max Planck, to so many others out there. And really, you cannot get behind consciousness. Consciousness is the prime mover. Everything that we see that is part of the material universe is basically the byproduct of consciousness creating something for it to explore. That's the bottom line.
Mm-hmm. Looking at it from a planetary aspect, there are some forms of astrology where they consider all the planets to be male, and then they have and they have a lot of power, but really they need their female part of them, or the female aspect, to express themselves. So they both have to work together. If it's just interesting how the balance needs to be just so each male and female aspect cannot function without the other. There just is nothing there. And I look in society now and I see partners who maybe they were in love at one point and they fell in love, but unfortunately somewhere along the way they're really fighting against each other quite a lot, and that can really halt your ability to manifest, because both partners have a part in it. And if both are angry, what do you think is going to be manifest? So I think that's really done deliberate. What I see in this world is a lot of things that kind of pit the male-female aspect of things against each other. And I think that hinders us quite a lot. We need to be at a point where our partner we love them, we cherish them, we express our love. And can you imagine, with that balanced energy, what that can create? And I think the whole world needs to head back that way. And we are, but it's going to take a lot of time.
So, to kind of simplify in some ways, there is one source of all things, and that source is this unified field of consciousness, of which individual shards, if you want to use the word shard, or you could use the word ray if you want to think of it in terms of light. If you want to think of, source being like a gigantic great sun out there, which every sun is a star, and the individual light pieces of light, it's again a fractal universe coming off the sun, contain the essence of the whole, but each one of them is going off in its unique angle and trajectory, having its own unique experience, but is ultimately part of the one. And that's the same thing. Everything that's in this manifested material universe, it comes into the manifestation from the divine feminine side of things. So that is the mother ultimately. Yet also everything within the universe that's being dreamed into its existence goes through the particular creators. So there are multiple universes. There are an infinite number of universes, and there are many, many different creators out there. There is ultimately one source. As you see this, he is within each universe. Brahma appears from his navel. This is, again, from Hinduism, Vedanta. That means, basically the knowledge that comes from the Vedas. And, he is in his creation, so to speak, and he is in every one of us. So we are like shards of source that comes through the prism of the creator, which, we'll use the name Vishnu because that's the name that he gave us when he came to us in a channeling and felt we'd be most comfortable with. Again, that doesn't mean that he's known as Vishnu throughout the universe. Of course, there's countless worlds, countless stars, countless suns, countless planets, many, 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 infinite number of beings in this universe, all experiencing it from their unique perspective. So there will be so many different labels. Names are just labels, and they're trying to emulate a particular frequency. Again, when we are out of this body, we're no longer using vocal cords to communicate, but we can communicate, and we communicate telepathically. And again, we'll recognize frequencies when people say, again, oh gosh, you gotta be careful channeling spirits. Like there was a comment, I'm a Christian, and you gotta be, you can tell the frequency. Again, as your energy body awakens, when your Kundalini is awake and your pineal gland is functioning, and you're no longer relying on just the left brain to sort and sift through information, you automatically know the frequency of what's coming. You can sense, see, and feel all the different energies out there. And, the reality is, too, that certain beings will not go to certain beings and communicate because, again, if a frequency is much lower than another, it's not going to be comfortable to be around. And again, Cindy wouldn't be able to tolerate the lower frequencies. And, we've worked on thousands of people energy-wise throughout the years, thousands. And there are those that come in with very, very dark attachments that will be very painful to work with. And there's only been a few times when we've turned people down because the energy associated with them was so dark that it would be very damaging and, very, very negative. The guides will warn us. And we could tell when people, because we've had people reach out that are working with the alphabet soups, and we could sense that. We could sense when they're, insincere. And then yet it doesn't mean that they're not still able to be awakened, even when they're working behind a desk, working for the system itself, because there's an aspect of Vishnu, there's an aspect of the creator in everybody that's in here. Everybody that's in this reality has a direct line to the creator of this universe because we enter this universe through him. So he is within us. So when we do his mantra, it strengthens him that's within us, and it'll help to pull us up again to him. And this is something that the dark ones don't want you knowing and don't want you doing. Because this, again, is going to awaken the divine that's within you. And in many cases, again, all they're trying to do is just medicate you and lower your frequency more and more so you can't touch these beings that are on the higher planes. There are all different planes of existence. As you see here, higher planets, we could take the T and the S off and, just omit the T and you get higher planes. We could change the spelling a little bit. Middle planet, lower planets, lower planes, middle planes, higher planes. So, we see the Earth plane again. And when we look at over here, Bhuvarloka, Rakshasas, and ghosts, and then Svargaloka over here, or Indraloka. There's a lot of different beings out there, many, many different beings. There is one creator of this universe. There are many beings that we might call gods. Again, they just, that's just a terminology to specify that these beings have advanced technology and perhaps advanced understanding of how this matrix works. And then there are those that we would call demonic. Demonic simply would be these beings that are completely in service to the self to where they would harm others, just to basically push their own agendas. The way we move closer to source is to be in service to others and to be working out of compassion and love. There is absolutely, even though you will not be quote unquote judged by somebody up on a cloud that's going to send you off to somewhere to barbecue you for the rest of eternity, there is nothing for eternity per se besides consciousness itself. Everything in the material realm is temporary. Everything. When you step into the manifest universe, it's all temporary because it's always constantly changing. And so, again, we are within a dream of the creator of this particular universe. In the Bhagavad Gita, we have the characters of Krishna and Arjuna occupying the main stage, and there is a war underway. And truly, it's said that when Krishna left Earth, that is when the Kali Yuga started, when the Dark Age started, because he is a deva, and the devas are always in this eternal battle with the ones we would call the asuras. And the devas are not necessarily of one race or one creed or one specificity besides just the simple fact that they are trying to maintain the order of the universe and the original plan of the creator with the ultimate knowledge that ultimately everything returns to the one. And this is a temporary experience of that which is eternal. And as you see the many faces there, we all have many faces we wear at different times because we don't learn everything in one single incarnation. So again, reincarnation, transmigration is actually perhaps a better term because, we even at times, aspects of our soul can inhabit other bodies. We can, have experienced life as, say, a dog, a cat, even a tree, even a flower. Again, all of that is of the same essence, ultimately. It's just different degrees of consciousness and evolution as far as the evolution of consciousness itself. So in the Gita, we learn that which is eternal cannot be destroyed. It's impossible. Yet the body, yes, the body is just a temporary vehicle, as we've all had probably more than one car in our lifetime or more than one bicycle. So we are truly in the dream, manifesting our own dreams, per se. But we are also definitely subject to the dreams and visions of others at the same time. It's just a matter of how much control do you have over your life, and are you willing to give somebody else control over your reality, which is exactly what the dark ones do. And so the Deva kingdom is very, very expansive, and it goes from the highest echelons, all the way up to Vishnu, all the way down to the little Devic beings that we might know as gnomes and sprites and different fairies and things like that. That literally, some of those beings, their entire work is just simply maintaining certain plant life.
And, the more, if you choose one of these deities to ask for help, the more you contact them, the more information you're going to get. One thing I would say when you're contacting guides, or if we want to contact one of these deities, be open to the way you receive information. Be open to the way that they speak to you. And what does that mean? Well, listen to music. So many entities come through us through music, and it might even be a loved one. Emotions, things that come up in your life. Another big one besides music is other people talking to you and what they might say. A lot of times these deities go through other people, send messages to them. And they also, a lot of our guides and angels do something that I call piggybacking. If they see a message being sent out that's being broadcasted out, they will attach themselves to that message. And if that strikes you in a way like, hey, I hear that, if that perks your ears, that's probably one of your guides or angels doing something that we call piggybacking and getting in on that message. So there's so many ways to hear from them and to have them help you. And the more you acknowledge, the more they're going to come through. Another really good way to hear from guides, angels, deities is whenever something comes along that just seems to be a little more than a coincidence, I highly recommend you journal that. You write that down so that as time goes on, you can go back and look into those writings and you can say, oh, wow, yeah, this happened and this happened and this was a contact and this is going on. But it's about that desire and that want to believe. And if you have the desire, it's going to happen.
So this is a representation of Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is the goddess of abundance in the material world, but in many other ways as well. When you look to the divine feminine, it is all about this reality and taking care of us, nurturing us in this reality for the growth of the soul, ultimately. It's all about the soul growth. And each one of us is a creator God, so to say, in training. And again, the dark ones have given us, they understand exactly what the universe is at the highest echelons. So again, they give us wording to get us fearful and distort things. Again, they call this quote-unquote terrorist group ISIS, ISIS, after the divine mother goddess that Egypt revered and loved, and many other nations around the world revered and loved as well. And they do things like take the swastika and put it on its tip because it's distortion of again the solar energies. That is a benevolent sign in Hinduism. And so all the time they are taking things and distorting it because they realize at some point along the way, for those that are really seeking, they will come upon things. And then if they could put a roadblock there that their fearful indoctrination can take root with, they can keep you from moving forward and discovering the truth and freeing your soul from their twisted, distorted perceptions that they are imposing upon people. So, like in the book of Revelations, when will the end come? It's when man sits in the temple and say that he is God. Yes, and I've heard that so many times. And that's the biggest realization of all, because, Source, the real God, is in every single one of us. So what do? They get you to, if you ever come to that reality, it's going to send terror. And you're going to say, oh, wait a minute, I was warned about this. Yeah, the ones that want to keep you enslaved warned you that when you discover the truth, they got to figure out a way to keep you in fear. So this is what they do. And that's when the end's going to come. Aha! Yeah, they work on a fear-based system. Fear-based. And again, is it fear-based or love-based? When these beings come through, the love is just it's beyond it. You can't even express the love. The love that comes through is so magnificent and unconditional. It's like that of the mother that it doesn't matter what her little child did. She's just going to still grab her and hold her and love on her. This is how they view us. And, Lakshmi, along with both Marys, Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, and Anandamayi Ma, Kuan Yin, and White Buffalo Calf Woman, they all came through this morning with messages for Cindy and I. Cindy was in trance channel, so they communicated directly, and we get communications from them on a daily basis pretty much. But then again, we are going into meditation and doing mantras multiple times a day, every single day. So it's again, you have to cultivate the relationship. When you look to Ganesha, you got the symbolism there. It's all about symbolism again. Large ears, listen more. Big head, think big. Small eyes, concentrate. Yes, concentrate. One tusk, retain the good, throw away the bad. Again, he's riding a mouse, which is interesting too. Keep desire under control. The whole world is at your feet. Yes, it is. It's all what we make about it. It's got a large stomach. Peacefully digest all the good and the bad and let go and process again that which does not serve us anymore. Blessings. That's why the hand is out with the chakra pointing out. So when you ever see the hand out and the chakra, palm chakra pointing out, they're sending you energy. It's a blessing. Small mouth, talk less again. And the axis to cut off bonds of attachment. And again, Ganesha, the Gam sound is all about the root chakra. So the Devas, again, they are also known as the Shining Ones, the ancient and Shining Ones. These legends are all over the world. And we had channelings, again, from those that we know as the Star Children, where they can now, so this is just in the future, they are having direct contact with the Devas again, like Cindy and I do on a regular basis. When they come into the room, I see them as swirling energies of light, and it's just beautiful peace that comes through. They are the farthest thing from anything dark and demonic, because we have both certainly experienced that many times in our life. And, it is nothing like that at all. It is the extreme opposite of that. And these are two articles looking at the Devas in Hinduism. So again, are they source? Well, source is in them, just like source is in us. They are just simply older brothers, older sisters, their mothers, their uncles, their beloved family members that want to guide us. And yes, the Galactic Federation recognizes them, works with them. Many of these beings, you could classify them as extraterrestrial. Sure, they're beyond Earth. And they're also interdimensional. Yes, they can reach people in multiple different dimensions. Many of them, reside on 6th density or even much, much higher.
Mm-hmm. And they are, in essence, like a sun. So say there's many, many, many different people that want to reach out and gain their attention. The rays of their light can go as many different directions as they need. So it's not like they only see you one-on-one. No, their aspect is spread out all over. So when you do reach out to contact, it's very much like picking up a phone. It's like now these 2 points of light have made contact and they're now exchanging information. And these beings have understood so much. They've gone through so many things. They've lived lives like we are living now. They've just lived a lot longer. And if you could imagine, all of that information in your energy field gives you such a great big understanding of how things work. And they never tell you what to do. They might make suggestions. They might give examples. But there are no beings that tell you what to do. That's something that would concern me if a being came to me and say, okay, you better do this. No, it's not about that. It's about giving you your free will and maybe giving you a little bit of guidance. It's not about taking over your will and telling you and directing you.
No, absolutely. It couldn't be anything farther from something saying, I am a vengeful God. An angry and jealous God. I mean, okay, case closed. See you later. I mean, no need to go down that road. That's obviously nothing like these beings. And yet that's exactly what most of the world has been following, is, if you look at the numbers. So you could look at it again in terms of Maya. Maya is the illusion of the veil. And, it is basically representing everything that's material, because the entirety of the material universe is, albeit a temporary experience. The consciousness, the ocean of consciousness of which we are all individual drops, is eternal. And that is the real. And so even just the illusion of the individual self is, in that way, it is truly an illusion. When you see the sattva, rajas, and tamas, these are, again, kind of tendencies. You could look at them as an elemental nature in some ways. You look down at the bottom, air, fire, water, earth, space. And this is all kind of giving us an idea of the pyramid of basically consciousness, but the true self resides above and beyond the pyramid. And so again, they distort all these things. They give us the all-seeing eye, but then they cut off the capstone, and they twist everything. When you look at like the serpent's hood, and you can't really see it, but you could kind of see, this is Arjuna, this is Krishna here, and then you have Vishnu behind him. And you could almost see like there's either rays of light, or it could be the Naga energy. And the Nagas are a real group of beings that reside in the earth, and they are serpentine in nature, they are reptilian in nature, they are distinctive from the Draco and from the Draconians. They're not the same beings as the what we would call the draconian reptilians. Again, Nagas are to be, it's handled with care and caution, because they are very, very powerful beings. Again, you would not go up to a lion in the middle of the jungle and just go smack it on the snout, or pat it on the butt per se, unless you have a very, very high level of consciousness that could tame it. And again, it's all about taming it. So when you see the snakes that come around Vishnu, it's a sign of Kundalini, and the Kundalini energy, which is calmed, used, and controlled by somebody that has, achieved a certain name of a certain amount of consciousness. So when we see this, now this is not depicting something evil. He rides on top of it. He's controlled it. He's calmed it. He is in complete control of it. And so is that talking about our, dark nature? No, not really. No, again, and I wouldn't even call the Nagas dark per se. There is that biblical quote, "Be wise as serpents." Now, again, the Kundalini energy can wreak havoc with somebody if they are not in balance. And again, triggering a Kundalini event while on Big Pharma, eating GMO foods, eating junk foods, not a good idea. We have to slowly but surely wean ourselves off of all the negative things that control us, and then we become the master of our own consciousness.
When we have a lot of traumas, this is something you don't want to go and just jump in. It's not something to be glorified. It's not something to be like a party trick. It's not something to be utilized without too much care. This is very serious. The Kundalini it deserves a lot of respect. If you have a lot of traumas and you activate this, it can really bring a lot of harm, because all those traumas that you have not dealt with are going to come to the forefront, and they're going to make themselves known. And what if you're in a situation in your life where you're not able to deal with them? That's just going to dig into your body. It's going to cause more trauma. So this is why I caution people to the highest degree. You don't want to step out and go, I want Kundalini energy activated. No. If you do the right thing will happen. If you're doing your mantras, your meditations, and this can take years, but it takes years for a reason, because you might have traumas and blocks that you need to work through. If you have this huge burst of energy, it's like sending an electrical current through a cord that has all kinds of little blowouts in it, and that can really spark a lot of problems. So when you're doing your mantras and your meditations, you are actually helping yourself process through a lot of traumas. You are assisting yourself in going through these traumas in a way that's going to help you. It's going to be advantageous. It's going to help you bring things to a close. And when all that is over, then that's a time. Then if you want to go that far, then you go that far. But I caution against it so much. Really, we got to work on our traumas. And doesn't that make sense? The world around us, look how many traumas they have put in our way. And that does make it very difficult to use these abilities.
Absolutely. No one who does good work will ever come to a bad end, either here or in the world to come. Our consciousness is constantly traveling. We are all travelers of time and space, per se. And when we leave the body, typically we're, going to go through a period of review. We see that when, people get the you-know-what, the ouchie, there is a dark cloud that's around them often that takes a little time to work its way through. And again, the more ouchies, the darker the cloud, the more time to work through things. But it's not that it's impossible to work through. You can. And we've even gotten, again, from the star children, that even if you've done something that you regret that you did, even if you end up in the smart cities, if your will is strong enough and your desire and, you have this steadfast attitude that you're getting your butt out of there, you can get your butt out of there. And you can leave the system. Right now, I think it's so important to be building our spiritual practice. The law of cause and effect, the law of karma, is how things operate. And so again, when we come into an incarnation, it's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to rise up and to kind of experience things, learn from things, grow from things, and if we are so inclined, move upwards. It's interesting because, like with the dark ones, when we talk about the Anunnaki, there are those of them they believe they made the right choice, and they're happy being part of the Borg and part of the assimilated AI construct. And then, there are others that probably, regret what they've done because they realize that they've traded away something that is so beautiful, which is the natural order of things. He who has no attachments can really love others, for his love is pure and divine. So again, this is very much, you'll find the same thing in Christianity, where it talks about the rich man's son. And, he goes up to Yeshua, Jesus, and supposedly says, hey, I really love what you're doing. Your message resonates with me. How can I do more? And he says to him, well, sell everything you have, give it to the poor, and let's get going. And he's like, oh, shoot, I can't do that. I like what I got. I'm rich, And so again, when we love those things that attach us, then they can most definitely bog us down, and they could become a lead stone, a lead weight around us. It doesn't have to be that way if we utilize resources in a dark age like a Kali Yuga to help others, though. That's something that's truly noble, and that is something, again, that is a stepping stone towards what's coming, where that whole concept of ownership will be a thing of the past in the age to come.
Mm-hmm. You can look at the things around you as, gifted. So it's not a bad thing to have a lot of things. They are probably gifted to you. So you can look at them as blessings too. One thing Lakshmi loves to do is she's goddess of abundance. She loves to give blessings. She loves to see those that she works with happy, content. And many times, if you kind of think of it this way, if this is the way she shows love and you push that away, that would kind of hurt anyone. So she really does. When she's trying to gift you something, that's how she shows love and acceptance and understanding and the willingness to work with you. So it's not always bad to have a lot of money or a lot of things. Like Mike said, it's how we utilize it.
The body is within the self, and yet one thinks one is inside the inert body, like some spectator who supposes that the screen on which the film is thrown is within the picture. So again, even when we say, that our consciousness is residing inside our body, truly it's not. Our consciousness is animating the body, and when our consciousness withdraws, the body just drops. It's no longer useful. It's inert. It breaks down. It goes back to the earth. There are beings of an elemental nature that are in this body with us. And, they are part of the Devic kingdom. They are maintaining this body. We were able to, Cindy was able to clearly see these beings leave Zeke's body quite a while after his spirit had left it. And it was a very, very educational process, so to speak.
I learned so much from Zeke's passing. I was able to watch and see the processes of how things happened and how he readjusted to the world around him and what his preference was, because there's times where he can make himself into an orb, but then most of the time he likes to retain his figure, his dog-like figure, and he likes to be around, he likes to be close. So it was really very educational watching him pass, although extremely sad. Just really tore both of our hearts out. I did get to learn quite a lot.
And this is what I mean when I say, that the knowledge that we understand and the wisdom that we gain from studying things like the Tao Te Ching, studying Taoism, studying the Sanatana Dharma, going deep into all these, just so much wisdom, so much information to truly explain the nature of the universe, as opposed to what we find, in the Abrahamic traditions, where there's tiny little nuggets, but so much stuff is just in so on begat so on, and so on begat so on. And then they sinned, and then there's punishment, and then there's more punishment, and death and destruction and conquests. The 3 wise Hun and the 7 Po. So what we got was verification of this. And in Taoist philosophy and Qigong philosophy, there's 7 Po spirits and there's 3 Hun spirits. The Po are not negative, although they can have negative tendencies because they are of an earthly nature. These spirits are elemental beings that reside with us. The 3 Hun are said to reside in the liver, and so when we drink too much, we drive the Hun away, and the Hun are angelic beings. And again, the angels themselves are of the Devic realm, so to speak. Again, they are some of the maintainers of the order of this universe. But when we drink too much, we can drive them out of the body, and then what's left is the 7 more carnal entities that are earthly in origin. They come from the mother, they come from the earth, they go back to the earth, and we saw this with Zeke. So when Zeke's body was decomposing is when they left Zeke. He was already passed on for a while, and we made him a grave, and we put his body in the grave, and it was maybe a month later, I want to say it was about a month later, that these energies left the body. It took that long. Now, the Hun, we could also think of as guardian angels, and, they go when the spirit goes. So when the spirit goes, they move on. They might stay with you. 2 might stay with you. 1 might stay with you. All 3 might stay with you. All 3 might go and help others. Again, every situation is unique. But these energies come from the mother and they return to the mother. So that is really a fascinating thing that we got validity of in watching Zeke again. We have all to return to source eventually. Every human being is seeking its source and must one day come to it. We come from the within. We have gone outward. Now we must return inward. That was Ramana Maharishi. Again, these type of things, these realizations come when we spend many, many years in deep meditation. Truth is unchanging, while untruth is constantly changing. Constant change is the nature of the universe. Absolutely. That which is material is constantly in a state of flux. It doesn't just stay the way it is. The transcendent Brahman. So there's Brahma, just to clarify, which is thought to be an actual creator god. And remember, we were watching Vishnu. Out of the navel comes Brahma, who is kind of like, you could think of Vishnu as the one that comes up with the architectural drawings, and then Brahma goes and actually starts to direct the construction workers, so to speak, in the actual, project. Brahman is the absolute. So Brahman is a term that is talking about, consciousness itself, the transcendent Brahman, which is beyond the manifest universe, beyond qualities, not affected by anything. It is always undisturbed. When we use discrimination, the unessential goes off and only pure essence remains, only Brahman, which is beyond even the sattva quality, remains. So there's sattva, raja, and tamas. These are qualities that range from, you could say, a more sensual, earthly, going on up towards the spiritual, so to speak. They're kind of essences. The sense of I was only imagined. One whose sense of I is wiped out by the blessings of the Guru remains not as a person, but as Paramatman. The outcome is dependent upon your determination. Whatever you conceive is what you experience. While looking at God, one becomes God. This goes back to Revelations. When does the end come? Well, the end come is when, the person realizes that God's within me, because the illusion is broken.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you're going through an awakening, there can be such huge, profound understandings that is brought into you. It could bring you to absolute tears. I've had information come to me that really kind of, just talk about bawling and crying and bawling and trying to really process that information and that understanding and that knowing. I think at some point I'm going to process it all the way through, because what happens is you are given a flash of this information. It's like such a knowing of instant information, and since information is light, everything hits you all at once, so you're given a complete picture. But then to try to explain that to others, you have to sit down and you have to break it down in that linear way where people can understand, and I have not done that yet. But I can tell you some of these realizations are very, very, very powerful, and they're very moving, and it's something that it's like a huge gift to you when you get them, but they can also make you step back and just, say, really, oh my gosh, they can be very profound.
Investigate yourself. This is the purpose of your being. Spirituality is nothing more than understanding the play of consciousness. Try to figure out and find out what this illusion is by seeking its source, and that can only be by going within. So I hope you guys got something out of this. And, I just wanted to also put in there that, if you look to the Bible and you have references of Yeshua, Jesus, when the priests come and the Sadducees and Pharisees come and they say to him and stuff about him calling himself God, he's just recognizing sources within him. That's simply what he's doing, is he's affirming this whole belief system. I and the Father are one. He realizes that the creator of this universe is within him. He never said that, that's not the case with you guys. They can't even go there because that's too much of an outright lie. Again, they distort, and they twist. And again, this is their very, very nature. So when he said that your God is not my God, again, he's affirming that the Anunnaki, that which you would know of as Yahweh Allah, Jehovah, that's not his God. But he does recognize the creator. He knows the creator's source is within him, and he is one with it because he understands the way of nature, of the universe, and the nature of consciousness itself. And again, with all his healings, he never said, oh, you're welcome, I did that. No, they didn't go there. I mean, he would say again, your faith has healed you. Yeah, it's all within us. So again, they just trick us to give our power away.
Indeed.
As always, guys, thanks for your support on Patreon and Ko-Fi. We couldn't do it without you guys over there. And also check out Medicinal Foods. Use coupon code EEA. There's a link on every video. It gives you 10% off. It does support the channel too, and these guys are good guys too. Much love, source bless, and namaste.
Namaste.